Hello, YouTubers. This is going to be a different kind of video than I've made in the past, but I I felt compelled. I was going through some old messages this morning, and there's a message. I was chatting with a friend of mine, Tom Fluger. If any of you know him in the YouTube community, called Finding Tom, and Tom was an avid YouTube vlogger, had like 160,000 followers, and lived in the Philippines. And he abruptly changed his life, ended up moving to Mexico and marrying a girl there. And now he's only vlogging what he wants to vlog and living his life for himself, to be happy. And we were chatting about that because I told him, I said, happiness is a choice. And he said, Roy, you need to make a video about that. And so I guess I'm attempting, this is my third attempt this morning to make this video, because it's really hard to put something like that into context. But I'm going to try. So when I first started going to the Philippines, I often wondered how these people could have so little and be so happy, and it almost befuddled me, because in the United States, you're happy when you buy your first home, your first new car, and on and on and on. And the happiness, of course, is fast fleeting, but you continue to acquire things, and pretty soon you got a toy garage. And of course, we've all heard the adage, the one with the first or with the most toys wins. And but generally speaking, you're not that happy. And then finally, at a point in your life, you realize that what's keeping me from being happy. I was a business owner at one point. I was quite successful. I had lots of money, every toy that I wanted, even an airplane, but I wasn't happy. And I had realized, of course, too late, that I had lost touch with my children. My wife became my ex-wife, and I was alone, and I had all these toys, which meant nothing. And I tried not to make that mistake my second go around. Although in 2008, when things collapsed, I lost a lot of money, and I didn't have as much. I had to get rid of my toys, which they really meant far less to me at that point in my life than they did prior. But it's funny how life goes. It's one path takes you here, one path takes you there, and consequently, the one path that I needed took me to the Philippines. And I was surrounded by all these people that were so happy, and they had nothing. And my wife's family, they're her extended family over in Ormoc, which they have very little. I mean, I wouldn't want to have had to live like that. But they're all happy. They wear I think it's a permanent smile on their face. They're all so happy. And I'm thinking, how can they be so happy? So every time I went to the Philippines, I was paying attention to all of this and contemplating life, so to speak. Could I be happy with that? Could I be happy with less? And finally, I came to the conclusion that happiness is just a choice. You can choose to be happy. And in this country, we put a price on happiness. So, of course, if I have hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of toys, I must be the happiest man on the block. What if I didn't have any of them? How could I be happy? And it becomes a learning experience of how to be happy, and how to be happy, knowing that you're not giving anything else up. So I really had to think about that. I had to ponder it for months and months, and I realized it took me a long time, but I realized that the little things were the very things that were making me happy. It wasn't the big things. And thank God that I came to that conclusion. And I started to live that. And it was the little things, communicating with an old friend, or talking with one of your children, things that didn't cost anything other than some time. And it started to change me. And obviously I needed to change. I guess that's why that happened in my life. I knew there was something missing. And I'll ever be grateful, forever, to the Philippines for opening up my eyes and my heart. And I really had to study that, so to speak, to figure out how these people could be so happy with nothing. And I started to live it. And now that Christine and Ish are here, of course, I live my life that way. I want to hug my son in the evening and say, good night, I love you. I want to tell my wife that I love her and kiss her good night. And on the flip side of that, in the morning, the same thing. I want to be actively involved with Ish in school and making sure that he gets the education that he deserves and that he's doing a good job. And all of them little things have grown to be the big things. I got a nice boat. So what? If there comes a day I'm going to sell it, I'll sell it. That didn't make me happy. We've spent some happy times on that boat, but that isn't the basis of our happiness. So, I didn't know how to put all this in words, and I hope I'm getting through to you on this video, because I really didn't know how. I just know that when I made that choice to be happy, my life changed. It's not about how much money you have or how big your home is, how many toys you have in your toy garage. It's the love that you have and you feel inside yourself. Now, once you have all that love, you can bring toys into the picture, but don't let the toys take away what you already have, because they realistically, they can. You can get so wrapped up in your toys or success that you give everything that's priceless away, and by the time you realize that, it could be too late. So I thought, well, I do a lot of videos on the Philippines, and let's do a video on something that the Philippines has done for me to change me for the better as a person. And that's one thing it surely has done. And it's like the aspect of giving. I was never one to give, not much, that's for sure. I'm an American. I got a list of things and reasons why not to give. And then you get involved with the Philippines and you realize that they help each other. And it's really a neat thing. We complain here that people live in the same neighborhoods for 20 years and don't know their neighbors. Well, that doesn't happen in the Philippines. They all know each other. They all help each other. They all rely upon each other. And there was a time in this country that we did the same. And, now that we got all of the social protections and the municipal protections as far as fire, ambulance, and all of that, it seems that we rely upon each other less, and we become more estranged from each other. And in turn, we don't nurture relationships and friendships like we used to. And so we lose something. And I think sometimes, rather than realizing what we lost, we try to fill that void with toys. And maybe that's why we're such a consumerized nation. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. I just know that when I made a choice to be happy, I really became happy. And I know that I can continue that for the rest of my life. I don't need anything. I can be happy. I mean, I need enough to live on, don't get me wrong, but it's a choice that I happen to make. And I hear, some of the negative about, Filipinos and how they beg for cash, and, they rely upon their neighbor. I know individuals that live in, compounds, so to speak, with several different family members, and they all rely upon each other. And you can look at them things as, okay, my neighbor over there, which is family, is a leech. Or you can look at it as, well, he's family and I'm helping them because they can't help themselves. So it's a choice. And I just wanted to make this video, and hopefully this makes sense. In fact, I'm going to have my wife review this and see if it makes sense to her, because it was so hard for me to put this into context, and it still is. So on that note, if you like our videos, hit the like button. Subscribe if you like. Hope to see you again. Bye-bye. Leaving this place.